If you're constantly walking on eggshells in your own relationship, guess what? You're not the one in control. She is.
We're going live.
No. We'll do it live.
Okay. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Is it just me, or does it seem like you went to bed Monday night and woke up this morning and it's Friday already? Drop a 1 in the chat if this week went by ridiculously fast for you, okay? And then drop a 2 in the chat if this week dragged on for you. All right, I'm curious to know. If you guys are new to my channel, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, here's something to think about. Men today are constantly compromising in relationships. They think being flexible, agreeable, and accommodating will win love and respect. It doesn't. Instead, they get used, ignored, and slowly emasculated. Their wife or girlfriend takes the lead. Resentment builds, sex dies. She doesn't respect him. She tolerates him. And the worst part, he thinks being more agreeable is the fix. But I'm going to be real with you. Masculine frame is non-negotiable. You don't step into her world. She steps into your world. In today's show, we're going to unpack exactly why your woman must enter your frame, or she'll never respect or desire you again. So stick around till the end, because this will be some of the best advice you'll ever get. Before we get into it, though, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on your favorite podcast platform, of course. But I am live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the YouTubes and sometimes on the TikToks, right? If you guys are watching live right now, do sound off in the chat. I'd like to hear from you guys. If you have questions, I can bring it up on the screen. If you guys are watching on YouTube or Facebook. If you guys are watching on TikTok, head on over to my YouTube channel, because then I can actually bring your comments up on the screen and actually pay attention to you. But if you're going to send a question, do try to send it as a super chat, because that helps support the show probably more than anything else. And you guys know the rules, right? If you guys send a $10 super chat, you get the bouncing tatas video. And if you guys send the $20 super chats, you get the shaking booty video. You guys know what I'm talking about. Both videos get me demonetized. And my Beer Club brothers, because they automatically get bumped up to the next level, they always take advantage of that. They're like, let's demonetize Paul for $2. Oh, man. All right. Guys, we're going to talk about frame today, right? So let's talk about what is frame and why it matters. If you guys tuned into the podcast on Fridays, you guys probably have a good idea of what frame is by now. You should anyway. It is Frame Friday, and we talk about frame on Fridays. But frame is kind of like your reality, your worldview, how you see things, okay? It's not just confidence. It's leadership, vision, direction, identity, right? If you guys ever read that bastard Ryan Stone, yes. I love calling Ryan that bastard Ryan Stone. You know, he's got 17 books. That son of a bitch. Anyway, Ryan wrote a book, phenomenal book, called Praxeology Volume 1, Frame. And he describes frame as a tetrahedron, right? Basically, it's compiled of your emotional pillar, your physical pillar, your intellectual pillar. And those three come together like a pyramid or like a tripod, and they form your vision of life, right? Now, here's the thing. Women, they really want to be led, right? They want to enter your world, join your lifestyle, do what you want to do, and support your vision. That's what they naturally want that. That's a part of the feminine, I guess, energy. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. That's a feminine sort of trait, right? To join your world, to, hitch her wagon to your horse. You as the horse, she wants to hitch her wagon to you, right? But women will never tell you this. Modern women aren't told this, right? They're told, no, you're the boss bish, right? You're the leader. You set your own life. I mean, look at the new Snow White movie, right? Where she's a boss bish, hoping to be queen now, and she's not going to be rescued by the prince or whatever. The movie's a total disaster, by the way. But that's what modern feminism tells women. But that's just not their natural state. And so when they try to do that in the relationship, they try to take control, and then you let them because you're also programmed to let them because of modern society. They resent you for it. They're like, wait a second. I tried to take the lead here and he let me. Now I have the ick. Right? Women want to be led, right? They'll never say this, but they will test for this, right? This is where we call them frame checks come in, or shish tests, right? We're not at the 8-minute mark. I can't say bad words. Can't be adults until the 8-minute mark, guys. But women will test for this. They don't want to win, right? They will see if they can get you to change plans. They will see if they can manipulate you in some way. They'll see if they can knock you off your center and get you up in your emotions and your feelings. And if they're able to do any of those things, they lose respect for you, right? And the way that you prevent that, it's not by swearing off all women and just being miserable and lonely and leaving shitty comments. We're not at the 8-minute mark. Guys, send super chats. Leaving crappy comments, on my videos about how, the juice isn't worth the squeeze and just stay single, bro, and like whatever. That's not the key, right? The key is your mental frame, right? That's why I always tell people when they're like, I just want my peace, bro. Like, I want a woman that brings me peace. Like, peace comes from up here. It comes from having a strong mental frame, right? If you have good mental frame, it doesn't matter what anybody does. You'll always have peace, right? Now, if your girl's not in your frame, you are going to enter hers. Now, one of the things, if you guys ever read Rollo Tomasi's The Rational Male, he has a whole chapter on well, it's not a chapter. It's multiple chapters, actually, right? But you go through the iron rules of Tomasi. They're broken into different essays. And his one on frame is the first iron rule. Like, iron rule number 1 is frame is everything. And one of the things he talks about is in any human interaction, one person is operating in the other person's frame. And you always want to be aware of whose frame you're operating in. Now, in a relationship, if you're going to be married or in an LTR, you want to make sure that she's operating in your frame at all times, right? You want to have a strong mental frame. You do this kind of stuff by, being able to have a clear vision for yourself, who you are in the relationship, all that kind of stuff like that. But also, you have various tools on how to handle shish tests, how to communicate properly, how to, how to be more assertive with your communication, all that kind of stuff, right? But it's not like in every interaction, it's not bad to operate other people's frames. And a good example of that is if you are, let's say in school, right? You go to college and you want to learn a particular subject. So you take a class, you're going to enter your professor's frame. You're going to want to be in his frame so you can understand the material better, right? If you get a coach, right, you want to operate in your coach's frame and be coachable. Like, that's not a bad thing, right? You can actually learn from that. But in a heterosexual relationship, if you enter your woman's frame, it's going to erode attraction over time. She's not going to want to be with you. She's going to resent you. You're going to end up in a dead bedroom. It's just a bad situation, right? She's going to end up cheating on you or whatever, right? So if you're not in your frame in this relationship, you're going to be in hers, and that typically puts you on the defense, right? You are not setting the tone anymore in this relationship. You are doing whatever she wants to do, right? And a lot of guys, that's how they're sort of brought up, right? Happy wife, happy life. Let's do whatever she wants to do. I'm just trying to make her happy. When that's you, if you've ever said anything like that, well, I just want to make her happy, you're operating in her frame, right? I was going to share it, but anytime I share videos on YouTube, it always gets like marked as copyright these days. So I'm not going to share it. But one of my beer club brothers sent me a video the other day of this guy. He has like 2 million followers on TikTok, and he's sitting there saying, in my household, I prioritize my wife's happiness over everyone else in the household. Okay. If she's happy, generally the household's going to be happy. And then I worry about my kids' happiness, and I purposefully put my happiness last. Okay. I'm the man. That's what you do as a man. And that's what society tells us to do. Right. Happy wife, happy life. But the thing is, we now know that the quickest way to make a woman unhappy is to give her everything she wants, right? Trying to make her happy is the quickest path to make her unhappy, right? What makes her happy is entering your frame and supporting you in your mission and joining your lifestyle. That actually gives her fulfillment and is the closest thing to happiness you're going to find, okay? But you are not overall in charge of her happiness. You're not overall in charge of making her a happy person. It's everyone's individual responsibility to make themselves happy. It's not your job. If she's unhappy with you, that's her problem, okay? You don't have to be on the defense, right? And especially if you're always operating in your frame in the relationship, you won't be. You won't be. You'll be the one setting the tone and leading, right? A man without frame, he becomes reactive, not proactive, right? He's emotional. He tends to be aimless, easy to manipulate. You ever see, you can really see guys who have no frame, right? You can see it at work. You can see it in the comments. you can see it in the comments on, on social media. It's funny if someone says something to you and your immediate gut reaction is to fire back with some kind of insult or immediately get into some stupid debate, you're not operating in your frame. You're like, I got to prove this person wrong. I got to be right. Blah, blah. They're like, no. Now they're able to get you in your feels, And one of the ways you'll find that content creators, they'll purposefully do that. They will purposefully say something that's controversial or edgy to get someone to want to comment, right? That gets them up in their feels, and now they're commenting with something angry. Well, now you just boosted them in the algorithm, didn't they? Right? Like, didn't you? You just helped them out. My favorite is when someone leaves a negative comment, right? And thinking that they're going to show me, and I'm like, and then they hate my videos and they hate what I'm about and whatever, but they stop what they're doing and they comment. And then I just sort of poke the bear a little bit, and I just sort of fog them, and I just ask questions like, if they're like, "Oh, you're bald," I'm like, "I am?" Question mark. And then they're like, "Yeah, bro, you're blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Huh, I didn't notice that. Are you sure?" Like they just keep firing back, and that just keeps the watch time up. It's good. It's good. Whose frame are they operating in? Right? In the space, we like to use the captain metaphor. Okay. I didn't invent that. Ryan Stone, that son of a bitch, didn't invent that. I think Athol Kay is the first guy that sort of came up with the idea of the captain and the first officer dynamic. And if you read Athol Kay's book, he's a big Star Trek nerd. So it's captain and first officer, right? If you think about it from that perspective. But I'm a sailor, okay? I was in the U.S. Navy, so I prefer to look at it like a captain executive officer relationship, right? Captain in the XO. You're the captain of the ship. She's your executive officer, okay? And when you see problems in relationships, you find that there's 3 different types of dysfunctional captains out there. You have the drunken captain and his reluctant passenger. You have what are the other ones? You have the captain and her husband, right? That's Captain 3, and then you have the what is it? You have the captain, the begrudging first off, I don't know, whatever. There's 3 different captains. And basically the fix to all of that is for the man to regain frame and start setting the tone and leading in the relationship, right? But the overall arching theme of the 3 different captains is that you let her step into the driver's seat, and she either, she resents you for it, right? Now, the captain and her husband dynamic, that's usually a real boss bitch woman that's looking for an enabler, and she's got a guy who's never been the captain in his whole life. He's always been the weak guy that just follows, that follows her lead, and he always just does what she wants to do. A good example of this is my daughter's boyfriend's parents, right? My daughter's boyfriend's dad is a total type 3 captain, right? His wife is like some bigwig executive at some big pharma company. He's followed her all around the country, just doing what she wants to do, helping support her in her career. He's never really like done anything, to work on his career. She's always been the major breadwinner. She makes the rules. She sets the tone. Total beta in the relationship, right? And it's an interesting situation because my daughter doesn't like the red pill stuff that I talk about, but at the same time, she sees it. She sees it in her boyfriend's parents' dynamic, and she's like, "Yeah, Dad, I think you're right. I think you're right here. I think you're onto something." I'm like, "Yeah, it's human nature. That's what all this stuff is, right? It's our evolutionary biology and psychology and doing what's natural, like our natural human state, and doing this kind of shit where we have modern feminism and the matriarchy and women being boss bitches and running everything. It's just not natural, and everyone fucking hates each other, right? Like, and we've given women everything that they want, and they're all on fucking antidepressants because it's not natural to them. You understand? So anyway, in the captain, you want to have the captain executive officer dynamic. A lot of people, modern relationships, everyone calls each other their partner, right? And you think you have an equal partnership. And what tends to happen is it's still not an equal partnership. It's still the guy deferring to his wife. He wants her buy-in on everything. He wants her approval on everything. He wants her to make all the decisions because he's trying to make her happy. And it just doesn't work. She doesn't want to make all the decisions. She doesn't want to have to do all the stuff. Even if she is a boss bitch, she doesn't want to come home and make decisions. She wants you to do that. So you'll find that if you can establish that captain executive officer dynamic where you're making all the decisions, you're setting the tone and leading, and she's allowed to just relax into her feminine and just show up looking hot, she's more relaxed. She actually enjoys this. And now she can actually put investment into the relationship, and she's going to feel more fulfilled. You understand? It follows our natural tendencies. And women, they don't trust a man who won't lead. Okay. Even if she tries to lead and then you let her get into the driver's seat, she's not going to trust you to drive again. Right? She's going to be like, God, this guy let me drive? The fuck? I was just fucking around. I didn't actually want to drive. Now I got to drive everywhere. Fuck. Like that's how women's monkey brains operate. And then she just looks at you like, look at you over there, not driving. You and your not driving ass. Look at you over there and you're not driving ass. Fuck this guy. You let her get there, right? You let her take the reins of the relationship. And so now this is where a lot of guys end up in like dead bedroom situations, right? They've let their wives run the relationship for so long, trying to make her happy, and now she's not putting out anymore. She has no incentive to. You know what I mean? It's like one of the key concepts in the red pill space, right? Is that relationships are the woman's job, and that really it sounds toxic as hell, but the premise there is based off of Breitholt's law, right? Breitholt's law is that it's the female, not the male, that determines if the relationship's going to exist or not. If she doesn't find value in the male mate that she has, no relationship's going to take place. She's going to drop your ass and go find a better option. That's hypergamy. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that if you as a guy do want to have a healthy monogamous relationship, you have to be the best version of yourself. You have to be a guy worth keeping. And if you're a guy worth keeping, women instinctually know what it takes to keep a man if they really want to do it. They know what the fuck it is. We're not that hard to keep around, right? Belly's full, balls empty. It's pretty fucking simple formula. But if she doesn't feel like you're her best hypergamous option anymore, she's not going to care about the belly's full, balls empty shit. She don't give a fuck about you, right? She's happy to take all your resources, but she's not going to give anything in return. And that's how you end up in a dead bedroom situation, right? Because you allowed this to get this way. But if you keep the captain executive officer dynamic, she feels invested, and a part of that investment is keeping you around, and a part of keeping you around is banging your fucking brains out, right? Belly's full, balls empty. She knows what's up. Frame is felt, not spoken. Okay. You can't just walk up and be like, you're entering my frame now, bitch. Right? Like that doesn't work. It's all in your presence and how you carry yourself and how you interact with her, whether she's going to enter your frame or not. Right. A lot of this too. One of my coaching clients right now, we just had a session yesterday. Man, I love this guy. This guy's such a fucking great, a great coaching client because he's coachable and he's fucking in it to win it. Like he's studying all the side stuff, and we have these really great discussions about all the stuff that he's learning and applying. And what one of the things that we were talking about yesterday is we have all these tools in the toolbox in the space, but you got to figure out which tools work best for you that you naturally gravitate to without thinking about it, you know? And what you got to test some of these things out and see what your wife responds to the best, and then double down on the stuff that she applies to or that she responds to, right? But we have lots of different tools for different scenarios and different situations. But one of the things that he's realizing is that his wife will try to drag him into an argument, and if he uses some of the tools that we talk about, you know, like fogging and negative inquiry and negative assertion and agree and amplify and all that kind of stuff, that he maintains frame and he doesn't get dragged into her arguments. And then it completely diffuses the whole situation when he stays in his frame. And that's one of the biggest things that you guys need to take away from all of this. If you could work on your frame and learn the tools that will keep you, setting the tone and leading these conversational things and not being dragged into her fucking emotional storms and stuff like that, you maintain frame and she respects you more for it. And you'll actually have your peace. You see what I'm saying? Like she's trying to drag him into an argument. He uses these tools and he's able to diffuse the situation and maintain peace. And he never even has to get upset about it. That's why I say it's up here, right? Your peace comes from up here. And one of the things he said, he goes, it was crazy. She was really mad and she brought up this one thing, and he goes, and I just basically did some fogging on her and some negative assertion. And he goes, it completely fucking stopped the argument in its tracks. He goes, it was like verbal judo. And I was like, yeah, that's how it works, man. It's like fucking verbal judo. There is actually a book out there called Verbal Judo. I think it is. It's actually a really good book. It's about, it's like a former police officer wrote it, and it's all about how to de-escalate situations and stuff. Pretty good book. Some of the stuff I don't necessarily agree with, but mostly it's a really good book. You train her through your frame. Okay. She either aligns with it or she gets replaced. There's no negotiation. Now, here's the thing. This is easier said in early stages of relationships and dating market, right? This is something that behooves you to learn if you're single right now and you're dating and you do this from the beginning. It's so much easier, right? To go out there, spin plates, test women's interest levels and test their ability to follow your lead, right? this is where you're always in your frame, and then she either enters your frame or she doesn't. And if she doesn't, she's not following your lead. She's just not the right girl for you. You need to cut this bitch loose, right? It's pretty easy to do when you're single and you're not married and you don't have, 3 kids together, and you don't have, shared assets like a house, and you don't have a 401k that she could take half of, right? It's really easy to just do that kind of shit, right? The problem is married men who have allowed their relationships to get this way because they've never had frame in the relationship, or they had it in the beginning and they lost it and they entered their wife's frame, and now they're in a dead bedroom situation and they're 20, 30 years into it. It's a lot easier to say, yeah, just dump that bitch. Just divorce her, bro. It's like, it's a pretty complicated process, and it's very painful, and you lose half your shit, and you might lose custody of your kids. There's a lot of, it's not as simple as just dump her, bro, when you're married. Okay. But that's the idea, right? That's the idea. She either aligns with it or she gets replaced. Now, one of the things that you just can't get around, and I'm not going to bullshit you, you start working on all this stuff, and you start working on your frame, you start working on, the map and all the stuff I talk about, and get her to fuck you again. And 97% of the time, she's going to come around and enter your frame, and she's going to be more happy and fulfilled in the relationship. The sex and the attraction is going to come back. But there's a small percentage of women that's just they're just so mentally checked out that nothing you do is going to turn things around, and they're not going to climb on board. That's when you have to make hard choices, right? That's when you have to make hard choices. All right, guys. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. Do get on the email list and get my ebook, She's Made You Weak. It's all about the betatization process and how attraction tends to erode over time in long-term relationships. It is subconscious, and women do this to you. And if you don't know what's happening, you're going to allow it to happen. The next thing you know, she's either cheating on you or filing for divorce. Okay. If you want to flip that script, get on the email list. Go to list.comeonmanpod.com and get the ebook. It's free. And then read about it, and then understand, oh shit. Every guy that I've had read that, they're like, oh, that describes exactly where I'm at in my relationship right now. And then guys, go to books.comeonmanpod.com. That'll take you to my Amazon authors page. I do have 3 books available. The latest one, Get Her to Fuck You Again. I'm showing it to my TikTok people. Get Her to Fuck You Again just came out in January. I have a workbook that I submitted to Amazon for approval that goes along with it. That'll help you turn your relationship around. But today's Frame Friday. And my book that really addresses frame is Psychology Paradigm. It's a part of the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence series. You can get that on Amazon and Audible. And you can go to books.comeonmanpod.com to find that. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic today. It's going to be probably a long episode.
Have you ever felt like something's holding you back in your relationships? Like you're always on the back foot, struggling to connect with women? You're not alone. Many men are taught to be weak, to defer, to play small around women by their upbringing, by society, by the very world that shaped them. But what if you could break free from the invisible chains that have held you back? What if you could rewrite the script, reprogram the paradigm that's been running your life? This is your chance to step into the man you were always meant to be. In the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm by Paul Bauer, the first book in R.P. Thor's groundbreaking series, you'll learn how to understand and transform the paradigms that have shaped your life. You'll discover how to develop a dominant masculine presence, one that commands respect, inspires trust, and brings fulfillment to your relationships. Don't wait for life to change on its own. Take control. Order your copy of The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm now on Amazon. Available in hardcover, paperback, or on Kindle. This is more than a book. It's your roadmap to a life of purpose, strength, and success. Make the decision today. Reprogram your life and step into the man you were meant to be.
Step into the man you were meant to be, guys. Let's get through. We got a lot of people chatting right now. I don't see any super chats, though, you stingy bastards. Just kidding. Not kidding. CW says, morning, gents. Oh, and 1. Okay, so this week went by fast for you. Okay. Ray, good morning, everyone. Hey, Ray, it was really good to see you on the beer club call last night. And, thank you for stepping outside your comfort zone and interacting with the guys. That was really awesome, man. Took a lot of courage to do that. And then Donder with the fire. Hell yeah, man. And there's a reason woke white bombed badly in the, yes, you're talking about the new Snow White movie. Yeah. Oh God, it was, I've heard nothing but bad things about it. I'm not fucking watching that movie. Fuck that. Let's see here. If you're a student, you must enter a teacher's frame if you want to learn and level up. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Oh shit. Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, "Good morning, gentlemen." She gets this automatically.
So naughty.
She is.
I'm gonna come.
You know it's her time. I guarantee it. I don't know if she's going to, but I'm definitely going to every time. Oh man. Happy Flannel Friday. Okay. And then actions speak louder than words. Sure. And then Kamal says, almost missed the stream. Thanks for posting it in the chat, John. Oh yeah. I was busy this morning, man. I started doing this Project 369 journal. It's very woo-woo. And it takes a lot longer in the morning to do the journal than I expected. I'm like, fuck, this takes up a lot of my time. I don't know if I want to do all this. It's not just like, you journal 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and then 9 times at night. It's that. And then they ask you a bunch of questions and shit. So, oh man, hey, we have some super chats here. Look at this. CW sent a $2 super chat. Beer Club was awesome last night. Get in it, gents. Oh, and then we got a $1.99 super sticker. Okay, so John, I'm going to bump up to the $10. So he's going to get the bouncing tatas. And then
Thank you for the super chats. Movies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in to fill it all again.
I cut myself off, but I was going to say CW gets the $20 super chat because it's a penny extra. Beer Club was awesome last night. Get in it, gents. It was awesome last night. Good conversation. Here we go.
Super chat was here, there. Shake it, dance without a care. Send it love from everywhere. Groovy beats we all can share. Your support is so divine. Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest.
All right. Oh, and then, oh shit, John sent another $1. All right. I'll give you the bouncing bubs one again. Hold on a second. Yeah, here we go.
Thank you for the super chats. Movies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in to fill it all again.
And demonetized for $1. Okay. Signs you're in her frame and what it's costing you. Okay. Here's one sign. You seek her approval. Years ago, I used to follow, what's her name? Oh shit. What is her name? The girl that slides into her videos on TikTok. Emily King. I used to follow Emily King. She was on my podcast in the early days before she had millions of followers. And she came on the show. I think I was the first podcast who ever interviewed her. And I just remember during that period of things that stood out to me, there was a guy who stitched one of her videos and he's like, Emily, in a relationship, a man seeks a woman's approval above all else. And I'm like, and that's your problem, that's a prior your problem. If you're seeking her approval, constantly wondering if she's happy, constantly wondering if she's satisfied in the relationship, if you feel like you gotta, get those attaboys from her and shit like that, you're operating in her frame. You're operating in her frame, and you're giving her the ick, bro. You gotta knock that off. Okay. You apologize for leading, right? You're always like, I'm sorry. You apologize to her all the time because you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, honey, and I'm sorry. I got to do this, right? Even when your decisions are right, you still apologize to her, right? You make a decision, you go with it, it's the right thing for the family, it's the right thing to do, and she's pissed at you about it, so you apologize profusely because you're trying to squash the tension. You're operating in her frame. If she controls the mood, the tone, and the intimacy, you're just reacting to everything she's doing, you're operating in her frame. Right? If you're constantly like begging for sex from her and she's just dangling sex like a carrot, like, hey, good example of this. One of my coaching clients, he said that his wife would say stuff like this. He would leave a towel downstairs or something, and she would get mad at him for like leaving, towels laying around, and she would complain to him about it. And the way she would say it is like, if I didn't have to come around picking up all your towels, we'd have more time for, like dangling that pussy carrot as it's like an incentive to pick up towels, right? If you jump at that and you go around picking up towels more because you're like, oh shit, she might take away the pussy, you're operating in her frame, right? Now, he handled it well, the way she said that to him, and he just fucked with her back. And I was like, perfect, dude. You handled that perfectly. I told him, I go, what I would have said to Nurse Chick if she had the audacity to say something like that, she would. Nurse Chick is too cool to do anything like that. But if Nurse Chick said something like that, if I didn't have to pick up the towels, we'd have more time for, and I would just tell Nurse Chick, I go, I'm taking mine anyway. I'm going to take mine. Don't worry about that. I'm going to get that. Don't worry. Let's see here. If she tests you and you fail, right? Every single time, you're operating in her frame, right? This is where what we call shit tests. It's also the beginning of the betaization process. And like I said, get the ebook. Go to list.comeonmanpod.com and get the ebook. But the first part of the betaization process is women testing you. Right. And then you're failing it. And here's the thing, like women don't even know they're testing you half the time. Most of the time it's subconscious, and it's not even a test. If you pass it, she doesn't look at it like a test. You just acted the way a dominant masculine man would act. Right. And then she respects you for it. But if she does something and you operate in a way that's weak, she immediately knows it. Immediately she recognizes it as a test that you failed, and she gets the ick. Right. So if she's constantly testing you and like you're getting up in your emotions, she's able to manipulate you. She's able to, get you to do things that you wouldn't otherwise do. You're operating in her frame. Okay. You trade leadership for comfort. Okay. You basically, what I mean by this is, you stop leading the relationship, you get relaxed and complacent in the relationship, and then you just hand the reins over to her and let's just do what you want to do, honey. It's just easier for me that way. Well, now you're operating in her frame. Now you're operating in her frame. If you feel anxious, ungrounded, emasculated at all times, that's what being in her frame does to you. Like those are symptoms, right? I've been spending a lot of time in dead bedroom forums recently, answering questions and dropping comments and stuff like that. And this is a very common thing I see in those types of situations. Guys are like, I feel like I'm just an ATM to her, and all this kind of stuff, right? Like I feel like she emasculates me all the time. And it's like, yeah, she has no respect for you anymore, and you're operating in her frame, and you're trying to get her approval, So here's a big takeaway from all that, right? You can't reframe her behavior when you're not centered in your frame. So that means that you've got to start working on this stuff up here. That's what the second book is all about, right? Psychology Paradigm is all about fixing up here, right? A lot of people like to focus on attachment styles and stuff. I saw a guy's post in a dead bedroom group yesterday where this guy was complaining about his wife or whatever. And then some guy in the comments is like, it's not your fault, bro. She's a anxious avoidant or whatever. She's a dismissive avoidant. It's not your fault, bro. Like a lot of guys over focus on attachment theory. Attachment theory is pointless when you work on your mental frame. And you set the frame that you're the one that's in charge of the relationship, that you're the one that always sets the tone and leads. And that actually makes you more like, you learn how to set boundaries, all that kind of stuff. That makes you more of a securely attached person, but it actually increases your sexual market value. And you'll find that women naturally fall into line with that. And it sort of fixes the whole attachment fucking situation. I did a whole episode on worrying about your sexual market value is more important than worrying about attachment styles. I did that a couple of weeks ago. You guys can go check the archives for that. I do have podcasts on all your favorite podcasting platforms there. TikTok, if you didn't know that. Link in the bio. Before we go into a break, here's something to ponder, okay? If you're in her frame, she will eventually resent you for it. She can't help it. This is her evolutionary biology. This is her evolutionary psychology. If you allow her to set the tone and lead and you enter her frame, she's going to resent you for it. Okay. All right, guys, get in Beer Club, beer.comeonmanpod.com. It's a virtual men's group. If you go to link my bio, you'll find it there too. But go to beer.comeonmanpod.com, join the group. We have monthly group calls. We just had our monthly call last night, and it was a good conversation. I was on there for about an hour. We had some guys who've been in the group for a while, but they've never actually turned their camera on, actually participate this time and step outside their comfort zone. And it's just fun to see guys do that, so that was good. Just catching up with the boys is always fun. You don't realize how important it is for men to connect with other like-minded men. It's just so important for us. And most guys isolate themselves, which is what my video yesterday was about. It was all about how men tend to isolate themselves in relationships, and they make their wife or their girlfriend their sole source of socialization. And she doesn't want that burden, like she doesn't want to solve your problems. All that kind of stuff. You're having a bad day and you bring it to her. She loses attraction for you because women don't care about your problems. You need a good group of boys, okay? A good group of guys to go hang out with and bounce ideas off of. That's what Beer Club's all about. Go to beer.comeonmanpod.com for that. And then if you've been, listening to the podcast and reading the books and trying to apply this information and you're just not moving the needle, that's a good time to seek out some professional help and get some one-on-one coaching. I do offer that. You can go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com and book a free call with me and see if working with me will help your situation. I don't work with everybody. I don't work with all situations. So book the call. Let's talk about it. If I can help you, I'll show you what that looks like. If I can't, I'll at least point you in the right direction. Okay. Go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com for that. All right. Let's try to wrap up this pig in the next 15 minutes if we can. How to build a frame she wants to enter. Okay. So the first thing you're going to want to work on is your mental framework. Frame starts with your identity. A great book that just came out for that is R.P. Thor's book, which, you know what? Let me play an excerpt from that because I just made a video for that yesterday. Because I've been working on the audiobook. Thor is having me narrate the book. And I just finished chapter 6 yesterday, but I did an excerpt from the introduction. Let me play that so you guys can get an idea. But all this is about building your identity. So let me play that for you guys real quick. The first step in killing a man's ambition is making him doubt himself. And this starts early. As a boy, he dreams big. He wants to be a warrior, a king, a hero, but the world tells him to sit still, be quiet, and fall in line. It punishes his aggression and rewards his compliance. It tells him that assertiveness is aggression and that dominance is toxic masculinity. Women are taught to chase their dreams, demand more, and never settle. Men?
They are taught that ambition is dangerous, that their instincts should be suppressed, and they must earn permission to lead. The modern man has been raised to be useful, but never powerful. And so he stops trying. He conforms. He shrinks. He buries his dreams. A once fearless boy turns into a man who second guesses himself at every turn. He goes from a warrior in training to a man who asks for permission before making decisions. He loses his natural aggression, his drive, his willingness to take risks. He stops seeing himself as the leader of his own life and instead becomes a passenger in it. But here's the truth. A woman will never be attracted to a man who asks for permission to exist, and no man will ever respect himself if he spends his life waiting to be chosen instead of seizing what he wants. Look at an average man today. What do you see? He slouches, he averts his eyes, he speaks hesitantly, as if afraid of offending someone. He constantly worries about what others think of him. His body is weak, his spirit is broken, his mind is controlled by fear. And then he wonders why his life feels empty, why he's constantly overlooked, why his woman doesn't respect him, why his boss walks all over him, why no one takes him seriously. It's because he has allowed himself to be reduced to a domesticated pet rather than a warrior in command of his life. And the worst part, he knows it. Let me take myself off mute. I was talking to the guys on TikTok while I was playing that. So that's Thor's book, The Superhero Inside. It's a part of the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence series. And like I'm up to chapter 6 right now, and to be perfectly biased, it's a fucking awesome book. It's a really good book. Thor did a good job. So frame starts with identity, right? You need to decide who you are. Own it, no apologies, right? So a part of that is deciding I'm the captain of the relationship. Look at me. I'm the captain now, right? One of the things I have my guys do in my coaching program is I have them do leadership rules and attraction rules, right? And a part of that, let me just read the leadership rules here, right? Is I take full responsibility for my life and relationships. I lead with confidence, strength, and decisiveness. I focus on my purpose and self-improvement every day. And then the attraction rules are I maintain my frame and never seek validation. I set the tone in my relationship with masculine presence. I invest in myself first, and attraction follows naturally. These are all I statements. These are all identity statements, right? That's frame. Like that's building up that mental frame. Okay. You want to install a new paradigm. Okay. You want to replace I need her approval with I lead with or without her. Right? I'm going to do this. She either gets on board or she doesn't. I often say that a lot, right? She either gets on board or she doesn't. But I'm going to do this, right? That's setting the mental framework. And then until you get yourself there, you want to act as if, right? Act as if. Live from the version of you that already leads his life. Start acting that way. Okay? Once you start acting a certain way, eventually it becomes a habit, and this becomes a part of who you are now. Okay. At first, it's going to seem incongruent because you haven't been doing this. This is where your woman's going to test you more because she's going to sense that too. She's going to be like, wait a second, who's this guy? Who's this? You haven't been acting like this before. You haven't been the leader of the relationship, and she's going to shit test you more. Right. This is why it's also not a good idea to tell your wife that you're working on all this stuff. Because then she'll even have a harder time believing this new you. She's going to be like, wait a second, is that from that fucking book that you're reading? Right? Oh, did your coach tell you that? You know what I mean? And then she's just going to dismiss it. Right? But if you start acting this way in a way that she's going to naturally respond to, she's going to go, I don't understand. I like this, but this isn't him. This isn't what he's been doing for the last 20 years. What's going on? And then she's going to throw these little tests at you to see if this is really you now. This is why you need to learn. You need to like read all this stuff and learn all this stuff so you have the tools to handle that. Right? Because once you handle that, she's going to go, oh shit, this is him. Like I like this. Masculine frame isn't about controlling her. It's about controlling you.
right? Controlling your reactivity to things. One of the things, one of my coaching clients, he's had a little bit of a problem, and this is one of the reasons why he hired me, is he's had a bit of a problem with anger management, right? Things that his wife will do, he would lose his shit over and like blow up at her, right? So that's some of the things that we're working on. And one of the tools I told him to start using is the 3-second pause or the 10-second pause, however long you want to do it. Thor talks about a 10-second pause in the Superhero Inside, but it's the same concept. Basically, or think before you speak or something like that. There's a lot of different ways of saying it, but it's basically, she says something to you, you recognize that your blood's boiling and you really want to take her fucking head off for what she just said to you, but you take a deep breath instead. And you think about, how can I respond to this without being emotional, right? And then you respond to it. It takes practice at first. It's not your normal default setting. Your normal default setting is to react and lose your shit and yell at her, right? But part of that emotional control is a part of working on your frame, right? And then you realize it's about controlling my responses to her and not reacting to her. Because if you're reacting to her, like we mentioned before, you are now operating in her frame, right? You're going to want to look at behavior and boundaries. You want to be able to set clear boundaries, right? You need to learn how to tell her no. You need to be assertive. You need to figure out what you won't tolerate. One of the things that one of my clients and I are working on is, let's see here. She's constantly like, so he works from home and she's a stay-at-home mom, right? Raise your hand, drop a 1 in the chat if you've been in this type of situation where you work from home and then you're married to a stay-at-home mom and she thinks, oh, hey, my husband's here in the house with me. He's here to help me with the kids, even though you have work to do, right? Have any of you experienced that? Because I've fucking experienced that. So what he tends to do is, and one of the things that we're working on is that she will come up to him in the middle of the workday and say, hey, can you handle, change these diapers? Can you, feed the kids? Can you, whatever it is that she's supposed to be doing as the stay-at-home mom. And if he worked at a traditional 9 to 5, she wouldn't even think about asking him because he wouldn't be there. But because he's there, she just assumes that he's there to help her. And it's like, no, I've got a job, right? And so he would get flustered and frustrated and yell at her about it. And I was like, you don't have to get mad at her about it. Just tell her no. No, I can't. No, I won't, right? Because what happens is what you tolerate trains her behavior. Women are only as shitty as we allow them to be, right? So if you are doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing because you have a job to do, and you can't do it, or you just don't fucking want to do it, right? That's one of the things I told him. He was like, well, what happens if she asks me to do something and I don't really mind doing it? I'm like, then do it. There's no reason not to do it. Like not everything has to be a power struggle, right? If she says, hey, can you play with the kids, and you actually enjoy playing with your kids, it's like, yeah, of course I'll play with the kids. Fuck yeah, I'm going to wrestle these little bastards, right? And then you pick them up and slam them on the bed. That was always my favorite thing to do. Give them an AA and then fucking John Cena, you can't see me. I just do that to my son all the time. It was awesome. But if you don't mind doing that stuff, there's no reason not to do that kind of stuff, right? But if it's something that you don't want to do and doing it is going to make you resentful of her, just tell her no. No, honey, I'm not going to do that. And then you don't have to give her a fucking explanation either. You don't owe her an explanation for telling her no. So why won't you? I'm just not doing it. Right? That's fucking setting a clear boundary, right? Stop over explaining. Use fewer words, speak with weight. I at my day job the other day, I had to go to a come to Jesus meeting, right? Like it was one of those meetings where we had several incidences at work, and I had to go to almost like a judge, like a tribunal board with like all the fucking executives in the company, where everybody that had, outages that week had to answer like why it happened. And one of my leads got sent the invite too, from like one of my bosses and stuff. So like me and this other guy had to go to this meeting, and he goes, what do we do at these meetings? And I was like, just let me talk, dude. Like, I got this. I was like, less is more at these meetings. So when we got to the meeting and they're like, okay, so what happened? I just was very matter of fact, and I kept it short. I was like, this is what happened. This is how we handled it. And they were like, okay, thank you. Okay, they just let it go. And he goes, oh, that wasn't that bad. I go, yeah, less is more. Like, if you sit there and start like over explaining and act like you're not confident and stuff like that, like they'll eat you a fucking alive at those types of meetings, right? So you don't need to over explain things. In fact, over explaining things makes you look more insecure, right? So less is more with that kind of stuff. It works the same in relationships. The less you say, right, the more the words that you say mean something. And so when you tell your wife, no, I'm not going to do that, and you don't give her any explanation, that actually sets the frame. I'm in charge. I'm the captain now, right? Don't justify your goals, right? Don't justify anything that you're doing to her. Hey, why are you doing that? You don't owe her a fucking explanation. You don't have to justify why you're doing what you're doing. If you feel like, if she questions what you're doing and you feel like you have to justify it, you're basically deering, right? Defend, explain, excuse, rationalize. That puts her as a higher person in the relationship than you, and she's judging your actions. And you're trying to plead your case and say, like, can I get approval, honey? That I get your blessing that I'm doing what I'm doing. You don't need to fucking explain yourself, right? Even if whatever you did pissed her off, you don't have to explain yourself, right? That's where like Luca comes in, right? Listen, understand, clarity, action, where you basically just listen to her grievances and then just don't do anything about it. unless she has a point, then the action to take is to fix whatever you did incorrectly. But if you made a good judgment and she just didn't like it, you don't owe her an explanation. You got to look at rejection as data, right? Rejection as data, right? If she resists your frame, she's showing you something. This is something that it's helpful for guys to learn in the dating circuit, right? Because a lot of guys get hung up on why women do what they do. Why did she ghost me? Why did she say she wanted to go out with me, but she's always busy with excuses, right? Like, stop listening to what women say and watch what they do, and you'll find it'll tell you everything you need to know, right? If you go and ask a woman out and she doesn't want to go out on a date with you, her actions are saying she's not that into you. Move on, right? But a lot of guys get fucking hung up on the double, double messaging and stuff like that. And it's, or mixed messages or whatever. They get hung up on that stuff because they're over analyzing what women say, and they know it doesn't match her words. It's like, well, the words never lie. The actions never lie, right? Her actions don't match her words. Words, like, women will lie to your face with their words, but their actions never lie. So just don't listen to what they say. Just pay attention to what they do. If their actions align with their words, awesome. But their actions will never lie to you, right? So you got to look at that, especially if you're trying to revive a dead bedroom situation, that rejection is just data at that moment. Like, don't take it personally. It's telling you something's still not right, right? Something's still not right. Don't take it personally. Just, okay, fine. And then remove your time and attention, right? You want to assert calmly, consistently, and with consequences. And that's when it comes to setting boundaries, right? When it comes to assertive language, a lot of people think that assertive means aggressive. You don't have to be aggressive. In fact, it's better if you're not. You're just blunt, direct, and calm. And the most calm person wins in those types of situations. And when you're setting those boundaries, you want to assert those boundaries calmly, consistently, and then consequences. Well, what are consequences in a marriage, right? In a long-term relationship where just dumping that bitch isn't an effective strategy, or it's not as easy said than done. Well, it's removing your time and attention. You know what I mean? Like you can't beat your wife these days. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. You can't do that. So what are our tools? Where we can remove our time and attention, and our attention is the coin of the realm and girl world. So that actually has a lot more gravity than you think, right? Some daily frame habits. I'm gonna try to go through these really quick. You could do stuff like a frame statement with journaling. Remind yourself daily of who you are, right? I'm a badass motherfucker. I'm the captain of this relationship, whatever. Use a lot of I am statements when you're creating those frame statements, right? If you say that stuff repeatedly, you're going to start believing it. It's going to be a subconscious thing. And once your subconscious absorbs it as a part of your paradigm, you'll act accordingly, right? You'll want to work on your physical posture and voice tonality. That's a lot of what Thor talks about in A Dominant Masculine Presence, his first book. He talks about how if you change yourself from the outside in, you start walking with better posture, you start, doing, nodding up and stuff like that. You have more confident body language that naturally changes your inside. You know what I mean? So physical posture, voice tonality. Thor talks about how to, doing the resonant mask technique to work on having more of a more dominant voice. Good guy to pick his brain in the space. He hasn't been on videos a lot lately. He's been trying to side hustle his way into buying a new house. But Mike Steele from the Dragon Ship, he spent a couple of years working on his voice and his vocal tone and all that kind of stuff. And now he's got probably one of the most dominant, deep voices in the men's space. And it's natural to him now. He just does it because he trained it. He actually trained it, just like Thor talks about in his book. It's a good guy to talk to about that. If you're not confident with your voice, a morning mission check-in, right? Ask yourself, am I chasing my purpose today or her mood? That's a good question to ask, and having a morning journal is very therapeutic, man. Get up, grab a cup of coffee, sit down for 10 minutes in the morning and journal these things out. Man, it's very cathartic. I do that in the morning with like my goals and stuff like that. It's fun. I love doing it. And then frame resets after tests, right? When she throws a test, you respond like a mountain, not a leaf, right? Polarity and desire. Women are attracted to groundedness. Emotional chaos repels them. Why? Because emotional chaos is the feminine. That's feminine energy. Hold on. TikTok's giving me the little puzzle piece to see if I'm still here. Oh, come on, TikTok. Hold on. Come on. There we go. If you go live for more than an hour, they bring up a little puzzle piece to see if you're still here. I'm still here, TikTok. Anyway, women are attracted to groundedness. Emotional chaos repels them. So think about this. The emotion, the feminine energy is chaos. Feminine energy is chaos. So if you are reacting to her with emotional chaos, you're acting like a woman. And women don't typically want to date other women, except for the lesbians. Shout out to the lesbians out there, right? The sexiest men are unshakable, right? She needs to enter your frame, and your frame is unshakable. She tries to get away with you. She can't. She throws a barb at you. It doesn't affect you. She fucking loves that. Look at any kind of rom-com, right? Who's the guy that the women go for? It's the guy who's a scoundrel that she can't get her way with, and it frustrates the shit out of her, but she can't stop thinking about him. Okay? There's a reason why all of those rom-coms are written that way, because that's what women respond to. Okay? Never try to win her back. Win yourself back, right? And let her follow or fall off. So, and that's really what Get Her to Fuck You Again is all about, right? It's about rebuilding yourself to have more of a dominant masculine presence in the relationship And it's about fixing you. It's about fixing you and how you interact with the world. And the funny thing is when you start working on you, it starts working in other areas of your life. I have at least 2 clients now that have finished working with me, and they both have gotten significant raises while we're still in the program, right? Because one of the things I tell guys to do is to, like when you're working on your money, muscles, game, and frame, right? Money is a part of your financial stability. It's for you. It's for you to get your finances under control so you don't have all that stress and anxiety over your finances. You get that shit under control, and then you control the pocketbook, right? And you set the tone and lead monetarily in your relationship. It allows your wife to relax and into her feminine, and you dictate what you can afford and what not. There's no more money fights and stuff like that because you control everything, right? But you'll find that when you work on all this stuff, it starts spilling over into your work life. You start getting more promotions and stuff. And like I said, I have 2 clients that while we're working together, they ended up getting like promoted or job offers. One of my clients got a job offer that was a $30,000 a year raise, which is pretty fucking, that's nothing to shake a stick at, you know? What could you do with an extra $30,000? I could do a lot of stuff with it, right? So because all these tools apply in other areas of your life, and you'll get more respect with people around you. It's not just going to fix your relationship, right? All right, guys, I want you to resonate with this, all right? I want you to take this and chew on this for the rest of the day. You were not born to orbit your woman. You were born to orbit your mission and let her step into that world if she's earned it. Your woman should enter your frame because that's where she feels the safest, the sexiest, and the most feminine. Think about that, okay? Guys, if you got value from today's episode, do drop a comment, hit that subscribe button, and share this with a man who you think has probably lost his power in a relationship. And let's help him get it back, okay? Anytime you guys share this stuff or drop a comment in the live chat or comment after the videos are over, or smash that like button or whatever, that gets us in front of more men that we can help, okay? Tune into Rule Zero tomorrow. I think Jack Napier's hosting, and I think he wants to talk about, there's a guy named Human Sock Puppet in the space. There's some guys with weird ass handles in the red pill space, but Human Sock Puppet did a post on called like Bitch Magnet or something like that. I think that's what Jack wants to talk about Saturday. I'm not sure. I won't be there. My son has a track meet. Tune into Dragon Ship. Tarl from Viking Paradigm, he's going to be hosting. He's going to be talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm going to try to make it, but it all depends on if my son's track meet is done by then. But otherwise, tune into the podcast Monday. I'm going to be talking about how you were taught to be weak and how your woman has felt it. Okay. Should be a good episode. Other than that, that's all I got, guys. Oh, shit. Brother David with a $10 super chat. I'm going to give him the shaking booty video. Let's see here. Shaking booty video.
Super chat will see you there. Shake it, dance without a care. Send it love from everywhere. Groovy beats we all can share. Your support is so divine. Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest.
Dottie, get them the book. Get them the book. Get them the book anyway. Because if your sisters aren't going to fuck them, at least give them this chance to find a girl that will fuck them. Okay. They sound like good guys. All right, guys. Yeah. So tune into the podcast Monday. We'll talk about how you were taught to be weak by society and stuff like that. Guys, if you haven't done so already, grab my latest book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. Go to books.comeonmanpod.com. Find all my books there. They're also available on Audible. And then like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks for everyone that sounded off in the live chat. If you're watching the replay, drop a comment below. Thanks for the super chats, guys. That got me demonetized every fucking time. And then follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get the free ebook, She's Made You Weak. Go to list.comeonmanpod.com for that. Otherwise, get my other books on Amazon and Audible. Go to books.comeonmanpod.com. Get Her to Fuck You Again. I created a workbook for that. That should be out imminently. I'm just waiting on Amazon to approve it, but I submitted that on Monday. But that's a self-paced workbook that as you're listening to the audio, you go through and do a daily journaling exercises. That's going to help start turning things around for you much quicker, okay? Get in Beer Club. It's for men only. beer.comeonmanpod.com. Check that out. And then if you guys want to work with me directly, go to call.fixeddadbedrooms.com and book a call. That's all we got. We will see you guys probably on the Dragon Ship, but if not, we'll see you guys on Monday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.